Right, back live with you tonight here on In Focus, and thanks for joining us. The Employment and Labour Department says it has recovered more than 84 million rands through investigations conducted in the last financial year. Inspector General Aggy Moiloa revealed this while presenting the annual analysis report yesterday, and she joins us now for more on that investigation. Aggy, good evening, and thank you very much for your time. You know, for the last at least 5 years, I've always been asking myself, who are the inspectors at the Department of Labour? Because people phone and say, no, we never see these people. They never come. Where are they inspecting or whatnot? Today, I'm actually speaking to the Inspector General. I can put a face to it and say, these are the people who are doing the inspections. It seems you have been doing some number of inspections, 152,000 or so of them. Where were they conducted first?
Actually, 155,000. That's just in the space of national minimum wage. And as you probably know, we've got a number of labor legislations. So it's just that's the one aspect. In all the sectors, really, there were 155.
And what are you looking at? How do you talk to us about the process that you're conducting? How do you determine non-compliance, for example, from an employer?
Okay, I'm specifically going to talk to the national minimum wage.
Yes,
but it will be pretty much the same in terms of, or very similar with regards to the rest of our laws. So what we do, our inspections are risk-based. So what that means is that we look at either the most problematic sectors or the high-risk sectors. And that analysis is based on our own admin, our own intelligence, and the number of complaints that we get. So we have been inundated with complaints as far as the national minimum wage is concerned. You know, the law was passed in 2018, and the minister has got a right to determine a floor as far as how much the workers in the country should earn. So what would happen is that our inspectorate is focused on 3 pillars. So we want to, as much as possible, start with advocacy so that we're not seen just to be holding a stick, but also a carrot to say, come on, help us, well, work with us, we're willing to work with you if you'd like to comply. And then we then inspect, and our inspections insofar as the national minimum wage is concerned, it's quite administrative. We look at all aspects of remuneration, and we'll check the clocking in system, we'll check how much people get paid, and determine whether or not that is above board. If not, we issue out notices. In the space of the national minimum wage, our notices have got a lifespan of 14 days. So the over 84 million rands that we spoke about were recovered in the past financial year as a result of the work that we've done in the space of the national minimum wage. So in other instances, you find that even after a notice has expired, there's some employers who still not comply.
Sure.
So in that case, we then refer them for a prosecution. And in this instance, we work together with the CCMA, because the award of the CCMA has got the same weight as the Labour Court award. And thanks to the amendments that were done in the basic of conditions of employment. So that's how, basically, in a nutshell.
So when you look across the board, the degree of non-compliance, is it weighing on the more companies not complying side, or you have a few that are not complying, while a general overview says that companies are by and large compliant?
It depends on the legislation. For instance, if you look at the national minimum wage together with the BCA, the non-compliance hovers in and around 8 to 10%. However, if you were to look at the occupational health and safety, the non-compliance is much higher. On average, you're looking at about 50%, in some instances even 60% of non-compliance. So it really depends on the labor law that is being flouted. So there is really a variation between, so the compliance levels to be something between the region of 90% to as low as 40%, depending on the law that you're looking at.
Yeah. So let's talk about the minimum wage. I mean, as you're saying, you kind of, your approach is carrot and stick kind of approach. You say, hey, come on board and be compliant.
Sure.
Work with us. And I would presume that you then give the employer an opportunity to give reasons why they would not have complied. What generally do you get as a reason for non-compliance? Is it that companies just ignore the fact that there's a minimum wage set, or is there something else to it?
The combination of factors. In other instances, we pick that it's just the reluctance to comply with the national minimum wage. And come to think of it, our national minimum wage is not that high. I mean, the current one, for instance, is 25 rand, 42 rands per hour for every worker in South Africa. So we find that in some instances it's just a gross negligence of the law, unwillingness to comply. Some will also even hand out excuses that they can't afford it. However, we do like to make room for those that have got genuine reasons. So if you genuinely cannot afford it, we investigate the matters, we look into your books, your finances, we look into whether you are open insofar as engaging the concerned workers is concerned. So if we find that there are really genuine reasons, we do offer some variations, but there is a process. But the majority really is a question of, I'm not going to be doing it, and as long as I don't get caught, then I'll just get away with it.
Yeah. So a lot of the employees are listening to us and saying, hey, the department got 84 million. I mean, clearly this is money that was supposed to come to me, and I was shortchanged when it comes to the minimum wage. Am I going to get any benefit of this 84 million?
The 84 million that we're talking about is already in the pockets of the people that are duly deserving of it. Remember, we're giving you statistics for the whole previous financial year. So, yes, to answer your question, the money is already in the pockets of the employees that were short-circuited.
I see. So as part of intervention, you would say to that company, well, these are the people that you owe, and this is how much you must pay them. And so that money then becomes calculated and therefore paid to those employees. I see. And is there an instance where you're finding, for example, an employer would report that we are paying minimum wage, but they're actually not?
Yeah, no, it does happen. And that is why we don't take their word for it. Our inspections are physical. We interview both parties. We interrogate the documents. And so, yeah, it does happen, particularly if you don't show up. If it's just a complaint and you pick up a phone and follow up in terms of what is happening, you'll hear all sorts of stories. So that is why we go to the actual workplaces.
Aggy, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on, and for me to finally see an inspector in person at the Department of Labor and Employment. That is Aggy Moiloa, the Inspector General at the Department of Employment and Labor. Right.